Hi, I'm Dr. John Young, medical doctor here at Foundational Health Center here in Largo, Florida. As I think about a lot of my patients, years ago when I first started practicing, there were certain diagnoses that I just hated dealing with. One was, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, um, you know, diagnosis or conditions that really the general medical community really didn't have much for. The patients would all come in, they'd seen a number of doctors, and they were given antidepressants, or they were kicked out of the practice, we can't help you. And so doing a more of an alternative practice, a lot of those people are being kicked out of these regular MD guys' practices, and they're showing up at our place. And I did a lot of things for them. I did intravenous vitamin C, I did ozone IVs, I did a lot of things, but there was still this group of patients that I just couldn't get better. About 25% of them, I just couldn't get them better. And then I started doing some reading, and I came across a doctor named Shoemaker out of New Mexico, talking about this chronic inflammatory response syndrome, CIRS, and did some reading on it, and he wrote a lot of stuff, talked to a couple other doctors on the phone, and he talked about maybe 25% of a family practice may be made up of these people. And the CIRS really, it sounds just like fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue. It just goes on and on, no energy, they try everything and they just aren't better. And so I started following his guidelines, and I ordered a whole bunch of tests to prove that these people had this chronic inflammatory response syndrome. But I found out very quickly that LabCorp and Quest and the insurance companies wouldn't pay for all those tests. So I kind of narrowed it down to, when I got these people that they just weren't getting better, I did a couple basic tests. One is I wanted to make sure the vitamin D level was fine, because that determines how good the immune system is, and I wanted that level over at least 60. And then I would get a lab test, and I think LabCorp has the best test, called an HLA-DR B1345 HLA-DQ B1 subset 1R. And I would order this test, and if it came back positive, it meant that these patients had a genetic inability to get rid of mold toxins. And what Shoemaker talks about is this, that mold toxins could be a big reason for these chronic fatigue fibromyalgia patients being so sick. And as I talked to the patients, I would find out a lot of times what their living condition was like. Well, they would say, I feel good on the weekends, but when I go to work, I work at the county courthouse. It was built in 1604, and it's a moldy building, and I was always looking to see, is there some kind of mold situation they're in? Or people, a relative of mine said she just had a lot of the signs of chronic fatigue and denied that there's any mold in their house. And so I had her go to the downstairs bathroom and right underneath, open up the cabinet underneath the faucet sink, and drill a little hole in there and look to see if there's any black mold. And sure enough, there was. And if I remember, she had this HLA-DR defect, which means they can get in, breathe mold in, it can get into their system, but they cannot detoxify or get rid of it. We all come across mold, but the ones that have trouble with it are the ones that seem to have this genetic defect that they can't get rid of the mold toxins. When you breathe in or eat mold, the liver detoxifies the mold, the toxins that mold is made of, and it takes those toxins and puts it into bile. The bile then is excreted into the large intestines. And normally when you have a bowel movement, you get rid of the bile and all those toxins, so they don't build up in the system. But if you have this HLA-DR-DQ defect, when you excrete the bile into the intestines, you aren't able to excrete it out. You just reabsorb it. The intestines just reabsorb it and throw it back into the system. So it's like flushing the toilet, but the water just keeps going into the downstairs kitchen sink, you might say. So you build up this toxic level. You never get rid of toxins. So what I did is then I would take these patients and I put them on a product called Questrand, or cholestyramine is another name for it. And it's just a resin, meaning it's a binder. And they would take a packet of it, mix it with juice, and drink it once a day. And it binds the bile so it can't be reabsorbed, and you excrete it through your bowels. But I tried that at first, and boy, the patients did not do well. They were terribly sick, worse than ever. So for some of these patients, what I did is I would start them on, instead of a packet, a fourth of a packet, like a fourth of a teaspoon, you might say, in a little bit of water, and they do it every 3 days because they were so loaded with toxins, mold toxins. And sure enough, slowly, and the key is slowly, they would start to get better. And I would have them come in after about a month or two, and John, I actually was able to go shopping today. I didn't go shopping, then have to lay in bed for 3 days to recover. And then I'd work them up to a half a packet every other day, then a packet a day. And I've kept these people on it for about 9 months to a year. And then I will stop it and see how they're doing. And then kind of keep them on a regular basis, maybe once or twice a week, taking the Questrand, because they have a genetic defect that they can't get rid of mold toxins. And if they're in an environment, and being in Florida, seems like everything has mold in it, all the houses, theaters, wherever you go, there's mold. That it's one of those things that I just kind of keep them on for a long term, because they can't get rid of the toxins from mold. And it has made a huge difference in my practice. It's made a huge difference in my patients, because a lot of these people were so discouraged. You know, maybe I am psychotic. Maybe I really do need psychiatric help, because they can't find anything wrong with me. And they're so relieved to find out there was something wrong with you. And yes, you can get better. When you are doing the Questrand and some of the products that are similar to that, you want to be careful. You probably want to take a vitamin mineral supplement, because you don't absorb minerals and vitamins as well, because they get bound up in this resin. But if you have a condition where chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, you just aren't getting better, you might want to talk to your doctor about whether you have chronic inflammatory response syndrome. Look it up, because you'll be shocked. And a lot of my patients look it up and say, John, it's like they described me perfectly. That's something that you talk to about your doctor, and it has just really made me happy, but really made my patients extremely happy, because they are getting better. They were not crazy. And yes, mold is a big issue. And when you hear about sick building syndrome, it probably is a mold problem. So I hope this is helpful, and look forward to talking to you in the near future.